Hello and thanks for joining this week's edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Buhari returns from 10-day vacation, vows to jail more looters. 4 months after, residents of Mbalom village in Benue State reveal killers of 2 priests and parishioners. And later on the show, Oyo State government demolishes Ayefele's radio station, Fresh FM. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Martins Onroja, and Tola Noibi. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. More. All right, let us begin by going down memory lane to ancient Rome, where the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, travel and change of place impact on new vigor to the mind. Now, this brings to mind the human capacity to re-energize after a break from work. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari embarked on a 10-day vacation to London and returned a reinvigorated man. Speaking in Abuja on Saturday upon his return to the country, President Buhari vowed to pursue his anti-corruption crusade to a logical end. He said more looters will be jailed in his bid to recalibrate the country from the economic woes. Babajide, President Buhari is back after 10 days, or 10 working days, and a lot of people, were asking us if he's going to be back home before Salah, and somebody said he never spent Salah out of the country. So the super tanker himself is back.
Yeah. And he's back saying the things that he knows the masses love to hear. The masses are his greatest weapon. And as a politician, he's playing to his own strengths. When the poor people of northern Nigeria, and indeed the rest of Nigeria, hear that Buhari wants to jail the oppressors, in inverted commas, it makes them really, really excited. It gets them really, really excited. And so the president knows that that is the reason that people don't want to hear about the PDP. You can hear him say that he's going to ensure that the people who put us in the current economic woes will be jailed. He's referring to the government that his own government has supplanted. He's referring to the PDP. So as he's trying to play to his own strengths, he's trying to demarcate the PDP because he can feel a desire on the part of the PDP to achieve some form of resurgence. The defections of big wigs from the APC into the PDP is an attempt to achieve resurgence. So Buhari is trying to attack that attempt at achieving resurgence by saying, look, those who put us in the economic mess that we find ourselves, I'm going to do my best to ensure that they are jailed. So he's playing, I won't say playing to the gallery, but some people will see it like that. He's playing to his own strengths as an individual. He has integrity, that's one. Nobody has been able to pin any form of corruption, financial corruption, against his name. So the integrity that he has in ample quantity works for him. Now, the other thing that works for him is his determination to fight corruption. What people want to see is the rich also crying. They want to see their oppressors put behind bars. And so long as Buhari represents a determination to make that happen, he will continue to have this sort of cult-like affection that people have for him in northern Nigeria and in some parts of Nigeria, even outside northern Nigeria. So he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So long as he continues along that path, because what you hear people say in Kano and other places that we don't want to vote for a thief. We don't want to vote for a thief.
And they call him Megaskia.
Megaskia, okay, the truthful one. That's what Megaskia means, the truthful one. So they see him as a departure from the past, as representing a departure from the past. Oh, we don't want to see a thief. They are not going to wait until that thief, alleged thief, is convicted. They've already sentenced them to jail. In their hearts, they've sentenced them to...
Court of public opinion.
Yes, they believe that, oh, the rest of them are rogues. This is the person that they trust. And they will say it to you, the average Northerner will say it to you that when they buy a sonshi, that the one who does not like Buhari, we too, we don't like him.
Really?
Yes. That's what it is. If you represent opposition against Buhari, then you can expect that they will go against you. Look at what happened in Bauchi. You can't tell me that the candidate of the APC was the best of the lot. But the moment Buhari went there, raised up his hand, the people decided to vote for that candidate. Look, if Buhari is some states in Nigeria today,
Kaduna.
even if it is a pig that they can offer, once Buhari steps up and raises that person's hand up, it is sealed for that person. You can't tell me that Yuguda, as governor of
Honestly,
Bauchi
for
State,
8 years.
it was not good enough.
For 8 years.
You know, but people didn't look at Yuguda because Buhari went there and raised up someone's hand. And there are many people in the APC today who will not be where they are if not for Buhari. So what is left is for the president, yes, good message, striking the right chord. But within his party, he must identify looters. If he needs help, there are Nigerians who can help him to identify looters within his own party. He cannot tell me that within his party that there are no looters. Within his government, he should also try to identify the looters. He cannot tell me that within his government there are no looters. Because even Kemi Adeosun was shouting about the fact that NNPC is not up to date with remittances. All we can do is point to the report of the Attorney General, Auditor General of the Federation to say, Mr. President, this report indicts your government. Fish out the people who have been indicted. And then we can look at the 90 report for last year. Mr. President, in your regime, you have to block the loopholes. There are people who are still stealing. So as you look at the past, also look at the present, identify the thieves because they do exist in the present. The thieves do not exist in the past alone. So that's the message that we need to also get across to the president. We thank you for your effort. We thank you that you are trying to punish the past, but it is important to look at the present and punish the present as well.
Martin, the dimension to Mr. President's welcome address or welcome interview that he had with newsmen. I'm going to run after them. We're going to punish them, and we're going to, jail looters.
Yeah, and I think the synopsis of Babajide is critical. I would like to identify myself with the last part of his own analysis, and then to the extent that the people who crafted the message actually made it too political, that the president shouldn't have said that he would jail more looters because it is not his responsibility to jail. He can only fight, he can only identify. The commission that he set up can only do that one and put people and send them to court, prosecute them and jail them. And the message that I will jail more looters is so strong, political, but as he said, that is what people would like to hear. But we have a responsibility as journalists to put it in perspective. Yeah, that's good. Corruption is the reason we are not where we should be. He should fight corruption, but he should also address corruption in a holistic way. As we have been saying here, that he should look at the bureaucracy of the federal government where this normally takes place. He should look in the civil service, that we will expect that he should also touch the civil service. As he said, there's still corruption here. The Auditor General's report has never been so devastating the way it was released. And that one should give him some, very damning, should give him some
food for thought.
Food for thought, because he needs to address that. And again, when he was coming in, he promised, as he said, to deal with systemic corruption within the NNPC, to even break corruption, to break the NNPC, restructure it. It's not been successfully done, because that is the cash cow, that is the mainstay. Oil is the mainstay. We get whatever we get from oil and gas business, and NNPC is the only business that we know. And then you can see that 3 years on, they have not been able to deal with the industry petroleum governance bill as it has been now. It's from PIB to PIGB, and not much has happened. So, well, it's welcome that he has said that, but we think that he should look at the bureaucracy and also look at how
Tola,
to
Tola,
deal
do you
with
think
agencies.
Do you think Mr. President was, playing to the gallery, or he was saying it from his mind?
Well, I thank God for this very golden opportunity. Before I say anything, I want to start with a Bible verse, chapter 23, verse 20, which reads that I have come to bless Nigeria, right? And this is the word of God, and also anybody who feels otherwise will not thrive. President Buhari is a gift of God to this nation. But there are other areas that has to be synergized. The judiciary, the EFCC, as well as the Bar Association. There should be a very strong synergy among them all, which will also empower the government to identify the so-called looters, alleged looters, right? And again, we journalists and then the PR consultants, we also have major roles to play, because before the president could utter a single statement, right, we, the speechwriters, must have gone through a lot of rigors, right, to polish whatever the president is going to say, but not medicine after death. Because as it is now, right, it's a little embarrassment to the nation, right? And since I have known PMB, I've been seeing him as a very forthright person, especially in his first coming, right? And together with all of us in journalism and in public relations, I believe Nigeria is going to have a new list of governance, which will also give every Nigerian that confidence that hitherto has eluded her.
All right, still to come. 4 months after residents of Umbalom village in Benue State revealed killers of the priests and parishioners. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us back. This is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. The truth remains a powerful force that however long it may be buried, it will someday come out in the open. When news of the carnage visited on a Catholic church in Umbalom, Benue State broke out on 24th of April, it elicited public outcry and widespread condemnation. But the undercurrent and masterminds behind the gruesome murder of the parishioners were shrouded in mystery and secrecy. It was claimed that in some quarters that the residents were from Benue State. The villagers have, however, let the ugly cat out of the hideous bag, recounting the horror, residents of Umbalom affirmed that the attack was carried out by gunmen believed to be herdsmen militia. Let us hear from the story as captured by TVC News correspondent Godwin Agwam.
Balong community, located in Gwe East local government area of Benue State, is a 2-hour drive from Makurdi, the state capital. Balong assumed national prominence after the killing of 2 Catholic priests Reverend Father Joseph Gore, Reverend Father Felix Tiolaha, and other parishioners on April the 24th, 2018 by suspected killer herdsmen. TVC News visit to the community, which is now dreaded by all and sundry, reveals that the community had in fact suffered an attack from killer herdsmen militia in 2014. Beatrice Cuvée is a victim of the 2014 attack and narrates how she lost her husband in the onslaught.
They were up to 30 or more than. The first group was with guns, and all of them was saying that they wear black clothes, all of them. The second group was with cutlasses. They were going, and I heard them speaking Fulani language as they were going. I was there. They went, they were shooting people. I was hearing gunshots.
But according to residents who survived it, the 2014 attack was the tip of an iceberg when compared to what happened in April this year.
Father Joseph God was to go to that burial, and the other father was to conduct the morning mass. So when we was here, when suddenly we saw some people coming through the classrooms down there, we saw them. Some of them were having swords in their hands, and some were having guns. Then when they were coming towards us, we started running the church. And while we was running, they started shooting at us. And then Father Joseph God, he wanted to go into his car, and then they shot him. Then he fell down. Then many of us were running. So they were coming to us, shooting their guns.
They were shouting, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, when they were shouting. When they were shouting, they said, Allah Akbar. Then started pushing people. Then we took our feet.
The attackers showed no mercy as adults and children were not spared in the massacre.
And I am married to an indigene of Balon. On the 24th of April 2018, which was Tuesday, I woke up early in the morning and was preparing for morning mass when I heard gunshots, and I immediately went out and saw people running and shouting. So I started running. I saw a small girl crying. I held her by the hand and started running with her. Just after my house, I met with the men, and one of them asked me to give him my handset in Hausa language. And I told him I had no phone. He then asked for money, which I also told him I didn't have. Just when he heard I didn't also have money, he removed his sword from the valve, and I couldn't hold the sight of being butchered, so I closed my eye. He hit the back of the sword at my back, and when I opened my eyes, he was already pursuing another set of people who were running. So I held the little girl.
Usushima Yeta could not hold her emotions as her little daughter was not spared in the attack.
I was sleeping in my house. Then I heard sounds of gunshots, and people were running. I called my children to come out. I wanted to run, but I still went inside the house to pick up my money, about 22,000, which was inside a trouser. I also held my small daughter while we ran. We unfortunately ran into some herdsmen, and immediately we saw them. We knelt down, begging them not to harm us. One of them asked for my phone, which I initially hesitated, but seeing that he was going to harm us, I gave him my phone. And again, he asked me to hand over the trouser I was holding, and I gave them, and they left. We started going forward. Then we saw another batch of the herdsmen with swords. and they started beating us that we should give them money. I told them their brothers have already collected all we have, and in anger, one of them removed his sword, held my little daughter I was holding, threw her up, and while she was coming down, the man set the sword slightly over her head, and she was caught. I welcomed her back into my arms with blood.
For families of the deceased parishioners of St. Ignatius Catholic Church, Balong, they will continue to mourn the deaths of their beloved ones.
On that fateful Tuesday morning, we were in the church for a normal Tuesday morning mass. And suddenly, herdsmen with guns and swords jumped out of a primary school very close to the church and immediately shot down Reverend Father Joseph Gore, who was outside, and at the sound of the gunshot, the Reverend, who was conducting mass inside the church, said, "These herdsmen have come." So the whole church scattered and everyone ran for their lives. A lot of people were shot right at the church premises, including my husband.
When TVC News went around the community to ascertain the level of damage done to the community, this black cap was lying fallow on the ground. According to sources in the community, it belongs to one of the attackers who chased Reverend Father Felix Tiolaha into the bush where he was finally killed. Mama Hugubin Asema, a 95-year-old woman, narrates how Father Felix was killed while he tried to escape.
They were herdsmen and were speaking in Hausa. So they followed somebody to the front of my house and killed the person. Later, when everywhere was calm, that I came out to discover it was Reverend Father Felix Tiolaha they killed.
Although the parishioners of St. Ignatius Catholic Church, Balong, can no longer worship in their main auditorium due to the defilement of the church by the attackers, but they are not deterred.
There's nothing other than the fact that it was herdsmen who did the attack. And you could see that from even the federal government herself acknowledged this fact by sending the special forces and a new operation, and it took the combined effort of that operation to go on land and on air to flush out the herdsmen, and that is how we'll have some level of peace now. Otherwise, we were not at peace. If you look at the Facebook page of one of the priest who was killed, he said, "The herdsmen are all around us and they're armed to the teeth and we have nothing to do." It was so heartbroken that this priest saw this happening, cried, made it public, and he couldn't get any help until he was killed.
We also visited the final abode of the slain priests and other parishioners at the Holy Pilgrimage Center in Ayati. Catholics in Benue State now see their graveyard as a solution center where they go to seek the face of God in times of need. Godwin Agwam, TVC News, Balong, Benue State.
And thanks for Godwin for that report. Babajide, for some time now, there's been this narrative out there that those people that actually killed these Catholic priests, that they were from Benue States, that they were local indigenous of Benue. With this report now, at least it's a first-hand report from those people that actually experienced it.
Yes, it was a lie from the pit of hell, and I had said so repeatedly here because the pattern of the attack was consistent with killer headsmen idiosyncrasies. So I told the young man to go there because young reporters are daring, they are usually very adventurous, and He went there and got the story. So Nigerians now know that there are some people who are paid to lie, paid to deceive fellow countrymen and women.
But they might not be paid. It might just be out of partisan interests.
No. When people contrive to lie, and you see that this is organized, not just ignorance peddling, organized falsehood peddling. There must have been some motivation. You don't know how these guys work. There must have been some motivation. Because how come, it's just like saying that Buhari will go to Kano and arrange the killing of his supporters. Is it possible? That's the notion that they are trying to give. That you, as governor, will now bring people to be killing your own people, your support base. You go and attack your support base and be killing people. So what we've seen now, that this thing was a lie from the pit of hell. This attack was carried out by killer headsmen. And not only did they kill people in the village, they remained there until the Air Force unleashed its terror weapon, which is the Mi-35. The Mi-35 does not understand language. It does not understand ethnicity. It delivers its precision weaponry. So no matter how strong you are in the head, no matter how mad you think you are, and you are killing innocent people, if the greatest terrorist in the world, when he sees the Nigerian Air Force Mi-35, they begin to run. I interviewed a pilot of the Mi-35, he's a Kano boy. He said, when we are in the air, Boko Haram men, they take to their heels. People always say that they don't know that they want to die. No. When you see that killer machine hovering above, you forget about the need to die. You take to your heels. And that is how we have been able to make progress in Benue, because they deployed the Air Force. And the Air Force
I think partly is Zamfara now.
Yes, the Air Force visited maximum force on these aberrant people. A lot of them are not Nigerians. So when you see Nigerians supporting killers, you know that these are just ignorant people. A lot of these people killing our people are not Nigerians. I went to speak to victims of killings in Zamfara, and they told me that these people are the Fulani with long hair. The Fulani with long hair are not Nigerians. So we can't afford to kill ourselves over people who are not even who are not part of us. They come to our country, kill our people. But now, I've always said it, Mr. President, mobilize the army. The army, the armed forces still represent that's probably the best set of patriotic Nigerians that you can find. These are people ready to die for their country. Mobilize them. Once you give them instruction, they will carry out your instruction. And let your instruction not be late. We are seeing results now in Benue, although they will tell you that, oh, it's because politicians are moving from party to party. How asinine, how banal can people think?
Somebody insinuated that today, and I was like, wow.
No, now, if the killings, God forbid, if the killings resume, what would they say? They will say, oh, it's because they finished primaries in September. This is the way Nigerians are. But we have an obligation as journalists to tell the people the truth. Deliver the truth at their doorstep so that the truth can set free. We give the truth the liberty to set free. That is what we are doing. And if they contrive another lie, we will go out to where people are being killed again and deliver the truth to the doorstep of Nigerians.
So that the people involved directly. Martin, when you look at this this thing playing out, people they will come, they will go to a village, they will operate for hours, and these people, some of them that are alive to tell the stories, but they would have lost their loved ones, and you find out that for hours, and no help, nothing will come in form of help.
No, definitely. You know, as Jude said, you know, this kind of gory tale reminds us of what everybody has been saying, that it is high time the federal government began to do something serious and convincing about these criminals, about these bandits, about these killers. It doesn't matter what you call them, but people will have confidence in the government and the governance system if these people are arrested and arraigned in a court of law and then are jailed. As we are talking about corrupt people, we also should be talking about these killers. That as we are going to deal with the corrupt people, we should also deal with these killer headsmen, wherever they come from, because this is the point. Now, we're talking about the fact that they are foreigners. If they are foreigners, government has a responsibility to do something about illegal foreigners, about porous borders through which they come. Because the next question will be, will these people also have voter cards and vote in the next election?
They vote.
Can't they vote? Can't they register?
Nothing to identify them.
Nothing to identify them. Can't they register and vote and even
Chaldeans.
confuse us with our mandate, and then somebody will get some mandate because of these herdsmen who can register in Nigeria and vote for Nigeria's president or some governors wherever they can find themselves. These are issues, and that is why the earlier suggestions that they should restructure the security architecture to ensure that there is confidence in governance. The earlier they do that, the better. If not, the questions will continue to persist. Why are these killer herdsmen hiding? Where are they hiding? Where are they? Who are they? Where do they come from? These are questions, and the answers should not continue to blow in the wind.
Tola, there's always a tendency to politicize these killings. And, you get to hear that, it's the people from Benue that are killed, that they have people, bandits within Benue that have been killing their people like that. And you begin to wonder that
these politicians
that is politically motivated. And some people will go to go to town with that kind of gist.
Well, my concern is that as the National Assembly rested that bill on community policing, right? Because if we encourage community policing, right, we'll be able to identify the exact natives or residents of such areas before they perpetuate their various activities. And again, you see, the military, the Air Force, and other paramilitary should have a kind of cooperation together along with the community heads and then the emirs and the likes, so that before these people at all strike, they must have identified them, who is a foreigner and who is not a foreigner, right? And then nip it in the bud. And there's no hiding space, right? There's no hiding place for anybody, because this is very inhuman. And we must put a stop to it. We should not politicize it, because a lot of people are dying every day, every second. And this should give us serious concern, especially those in government, because the people constitute the highest investment by the government. And at the end of the day, what does the government take from the people, right? If not for the confidence. And this is the more reason why we have to make sure that there's that confidence reposed in the people. Because whatever it is, people are watching. Even the foreigners are watching. And this is the more reason why I want to plead with the National Assembly, right? At least to hasten, right, the enactment of that bill on community policing, so that at least we'll be able to identify who are the culprits before the strike.
Okay. Babajide, on a final note on this, and you want to look at, ultimately, when we want to put this in perspective, we have bad eggs among Yorubas. We have bad eggs among Igbos. Yes. We have bad eggs among Hausas. So this is not in any way to make attempt to say these are, if they are Fulanis, it's not compulsory. There are bad eggs among Fulanis within Nigerians and outside Nigeria. So a lot of people, it has been established now that what is ravaging them, in Zamfara, the cattle rustlers ravaging Zamfara state.
They are Fulani.
They are Fulani people.
The victims are Fulani.
The victims are Fulani people. And this Benue thing, predominantly, they are Fulani people.
Yes, it's a fact. And that's why the Sultan told the Mieti Allah to identify bad eggs, you know, identify the killer headsmen so that the government will know what to do. And that is why the Emir of Ankara raised that alarm the other day, telling leaders of the Fulani to do something about crimes being committed by these bad eggs that you talk about. I've always said it that my best friends that I've made over the years, the Saleh Ibrahims from Sokoto of this world, you know, they are Fulani. Abdullahi Tambua, Fulani. These are friends that I've made for almost 30 years. That I cannot trade with anybody. But the truth is, in every race, in every ethnic group, there are bad eggs. So, but the obligation we have as patriots is to identify bad eggs and serve them the punishment that they deliver. And that is why I'm calling on the Air Force. The MI-35 does not understand any language. It does not understand any ethnicity. It does not know any ethnicity.
It operates with precision.
It delivers its precision-guided weapons without bias. So if these people will come and be killing Nigerians, you know, because they think they have two heads, let the Mi-35 go to work. Let it go to work. The ground attack helicopter, one of the best that the Russians have come up with. It's an upgrade of the Mi-24. I'm happy and proud as a Nigerian that we have that weapon. Just as that Kano-born pilot told me that day, this weapon is a nightmare to terrorists. Once we are flying above, they stick to their heels. Maybe they say Boko Haram, they have two heads. Why don't they wait for Mi-35? Why don't killer headsmen wait for Mi-35 in Nasarawa and Benue State, where they've been able to calm them down now?
And after some time,
why are the bandits in Zamfara running from pillar to post now? Because the Mi-35 does not show mercy. This is what I want my country to do. Send the Air Force, send the army to these areas, give them the ground attack helicopters that will serve justice to them. And at the end of the day, we will have peace. Everybody will be happy. Nobody will say it is politicians anymore. When we have peace, we don't look for excuses. Later on, if things go bad and we return to ethnic violent combustions, we start looking for excuses. Oh, is someone there? Oh, it's because they are doing realignment. Oh, it's because the politicians don't like Buhari. Oh, it is because of this.
Because of defection now.
Information on what he said. Maybe it is gratifying to note that the acting president a few days ago, the vice president, has used the National Economic Council to set up a committee to decentralize operations of the police force.
Yes, we'll talk about that. I have Eze. Eze is calling us from Kaduna State. Thank you for joining us, Eze. Eze.
Good evening.
Good evening, Eze.
Gentlemen, I am happy the way you people are treating the issues concerning Nigeria.
Thank you, Eze.
My sincere gratitude goes to all of you.
Thank you.
Please, I am very happy the revelations you people have made about the killing in Benue State. You see, one problem we have is that our so-called leaders, they attach politics to everything, no matter how important or not. They attach politics to it. The other time, Oshomole in his conference told the whole world that the Reverend Fathers and parishioners that were killed in Benue were killed by Christians and Benue people. And now, I don't know what people will be thinking about him. Somebody of his stature and his political class in Nigeria telling us such lies. And now you see what the people that we affected, what they're telling us. So the issue is that our political leaders must try to be truthful at all times, and no matter the situation and who is involved.
Thank you, Eze. Thank you. Now, various reports have tagged Nigeria as one of the most dangerous habitations for journalists. Daily, pressmen face one hazard or the other in the discharge of their duties. On Sunday, the careers of tens of broadcasters were further jeopardized when Oyo State government carried out the demolition of Fresh FM in Ibadan, owned by musician Yinka Ayefele. While the case between Ayefele and the state government was still awaiting resolution at the Federal High Court, Ibadan, bulldozers moved to the site along Arishekola bypass in the ancient city and pulled part of the edifice down. The government claims the owner deviated from the approved building plan, but the media outfit says it fulfilled statutory regulations. Yesterday, social media was awash. We saw the pictures, saw videos. Some people even uploaded video. It happened around 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So as people were waking up, going to church on Sunday, the crowd there and everything.
That crowd is almost as large as Buhari's crowd.
No, they were. In fact, some politicians actually leverage on the crowd, and they were using it as a kind of to drive sympathy. I was trying to reach out to the Commissioner of Information, Arologun, yesterday, but his phone wasn't going through. But what is happening, Babajide?
Oh, you see, no doubt about it. This case had been going on and on. And if we are to be fair to ourselves, on both sides, mistakes have been made. I think that the Oyo State government, because Oyo State government itself is a creation of law, I think that the Oyo State government shouldn't have carried out that demolition. One, because Ayefele had approached the court. The court had put itself in a position affirming its readiness to hear the matter. And it was on Monday, today, that they were supposed to go to court. Forget about whether an ex parte order had not been granted or not. When someone approaches the court and you know that the court had been approached, you should have slowed down a little bit. That is my quarrel with them. They should have slowed down.
I thought the only thing that can slow you down is when you get a kind of ex parte order or a court injunction from the court. So far as in court, that doesn't mean that action should not be taken. If you want action to be stalled, you will go and take a restraining order.
You see, once you know that that matter was already before a court.
They said that matter went to court last Thursday, Babajide.
It doesn't matter. They were aware that it was in court. Couldn't they have waited a little bit? Let's not justify what is not right, because one day you could be the victim.
Yeah.
They were aware that the matter had been taken before a court. They could have waited a little bit. That is my quarrel with them, because I'm going to blame both sides. Ayefele, in my view, had not done enough. It had not even shown respect to government, because there were numerous letters written to him calling him to come and regularize his building plan. No response. The state government also wrote to the NBC complaining about the fact that a radio station exists without, in breach of the building laws of the state. But the NBC said, look, this is outside our jurisdiction.
Which is clear.
So the point is, when you now refused to respond to the government's invitation that you should come and regularize your building plan, you leave the government with no choice but to take the kind of action that they have taken. Because it's clear, I was monitoring the events. On the 19th of May 2017, the letter was written to UCH, Colada University.
Yeah, those people that were on that road, yes.
Yes, and Ayefele. In the case of the UCH, they went to court early. But Ayefele left going to court a bit late. Just a few days, maybe he got wind that it will happen, then he went to court. Then on 18th August, a reminder letter was sent to the music house, which was acknowledged. On the 25th of August was when they wrote to NBC saying, look, this music house had contravened their building law. Then on November 27, another letter was sent to NBC on the subject matter before the NBC. Now on December 4, now says, see, this is outside of our jurisdiction. The truth is that the building size is 29.7 meters by 21.6 meters as against 11.925 meters. So it's in contravention of the building plan. And then not only that, the kitchen and the canteen were attached to the wall of the fence. Toilets attached to the wall of the fence. Store attached to the wall of the fence. The powerhouse itself was attached to the wall of the fence. And then, of course, the staircase and the spiral staircase and the mast were not part of the building plan. Whatever we feel, I believe that both sides, there should have been a kind of coming together. So, and that's why I'm saying that Ayefele didn't do enough to try to reach out to this, because if the government had wanted to demolish it, they should have demolished it a long time ago. And when people give the impression that, oh, 200 and something people are going to lose their jobs, of course that's a lie. It's only a small part of it. In fact, the setback, the government wants a setback in the region of 45 meters. By the front of by the demolition of the front of the building, it still doesn't have up to 45. But what the governor has said is, let's not demolish everything, because you also have to care about those who will lose their jobs and all that, and they are still on air. If you look at the back of this building, you see clearly that the building is still standing. So, no, the truth is, there were faults on both sides. If I were Ajimobi, that people like to call constituted authority, I would not have demolished, especially when I heard that he had gone to court. Because once you do that, you are setting Nigerians against you. They say, oh, these guys, they believe in impunity and all that. He had approached the court. You could have waited a little bit. That's my view.
Martin, when you look at it, I read stories about they've had like 3 accidents in that particular spot, that road, that it was a kind of dangerous, according to the claim by the Oyo State government. But ultimately, the building went down yesterday. Part of the building went down yesterday. Yes. We saw a lot of people, and they were virtually cursing the governor on, on social media. And I was saying that no amount of PR could repair this kind of damage. What is your own take?
You know that before I came here, I read a story from the court today saying that government said it didn't carry out that demolition yesterday. Yes. That's what they told the court, that they will set up a committee to find out who did it. You want, but beyond denial and all those things like that, this politics, democracy exists for the people, by the people. Is a government of the people. And, the significant aspect of it was what he was talking about, that the two parties should have come together. Whatever happened to alternative dispute resolution mechanism in Ibadan, Ayefele, a good investor, a good person, very popular, he has invested in that kind of place. I believe, yes, it created the environment. The governor himself was heard yesterday on one audio to have visited there. He visited that place.
No, I saw the
before.
video. I even saw the video.
Yes, the video. He visited that place. He even said people were putting pressure on him. It's a good investment. And he himself said that he didn't like mediocrity, that the good work that they did there pleased him. He said, so that was an opportunity. And if there was anything, the government government is awesome. Government is in charge. Government should have created alternative dispute resolution mechanism. I read in Bill Clinton's own autobiography that no one says no to the president or to a governor or to a leader like that. The governor has had this opportunity of calling him, come.
About these letters, was there any response to this letter?
The response to the letters or not, Jide.
It was at the 9 minute that Ayefele now started reaching out. The wife,
since last year.
They said the wife was there.
Since May last year. I've been writing to you.
Because,
no reaction.
Because I have seen how issues have been resolved that way. That some people have different strategy. for resolving a dispute or conflict like that. But because look at the bad blood, look at the kind of reputation issue that came up yesterday when this thing happened. All those things that Ayefele didn't do paled into insignificance in the early hours of yesterday when they got there. Whoever did it, whether on behalf of government or to put did a bad job.
Did it.
Government
officials have spoken.
They have been defending it since yesterday. But because of contempt that he was talking about, to avoid contempt of court charge, they denied that they did it. So quit is understandable, but that would be scandalous if somebody did this thing on behalf of government, and government officials have been speaking on it since yesterday. I think that they should have resolved this thing before this time. What do you read between the lines?
Yeah. Fresh FM, very popular in that Axis Ibadan.
Music house.
Personally, to me, there is absolute absence of public relations between both of them. Why? Because this gentleman has proved to the entire world that there is ability in disability, right? And he's a very great crowd puller, big employer of labor. So whatever it may happen, ever before its demolition at all, please, there should be a kind of cooperation.
There's an understanding that, okay, we'll demolish this house, but we'll go and give you somewhere else, put your radio there. Yeah. So,
or even, there should be...
He demolished his in-laws' house now.
You see, that should be... What is there is that, personally to me, a lot of Nigerians are now reading a lot of negative...
Even political menace.
Negative reasons to what has been happening in your state. Imagine what happened between the governor and the Council of Obas, Olubadan, among others. It's yet to die down. This one cropping up again. You see, I am happy to be a journalist because journalists are always very analytical. We are blunt in X-raying events, and even we give suggestions, right, ahead of time.
Okay, let's quickly take Mr. Arologun. Tried reaching you yesterday, all true. How are you, Tony?
Tony, thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Can you just tell us very briefly your side of the story?
I think the matter is very simple. Let me put it succinctly. It's a policy for the Oyo State government in the area of physical and planning to regularize the papers of most institutions, public buildings, banking institutions, and all the likes that we have in the state. Because if you notice, Oyo State, especially the capital city, there is no master plan. So government is embarking on a master plan right now. And you start from the known to the unknown. There's a future projection. But government is asking that all buildings should regularize their master plans. Now, all the radio stations were served, so I'm just trying to narrow it down. And most of them responded. Some did not respond. In this matter, on the 19th of May 2017, there was a letter demanding for such approvals sent to various institutions, UCH, Kolada University, University of Ireland, and the likes. Now, the long and short is that the building, Music House, where it sits, okay, it is contravening the physical planning laws. After a joint inspection on the 25th of June 2018, the Bureau of Physical Planning, and they did this in conjunction with the officials of Music House. They discovered that the building size, which measured 29.7 meters by 20.
Okay, quickly, Mr. Tony, let me ask you quickly.
Yes.
At any point in time, did you write any letter to Fresh FM telling them, complaining about their content of being anti-government, anti-government content, that they were quite critical of the government of Oyo State?
I did not.
I saw a copy of
any letter to them.
Signed by you, asking them for...
I did not write any letters. But I know what they're talking about. And I can tell you. You get? Because all of us are in this business. First of all, they don't need to link it up because the Atwa issue happened in 2018. The first letter to them was 2017, 19th of May. The matter of the Atwa has not happened then. They sent another one on the 14th of June. Now, I'm trying to say that this matter they're trying to bring up predates, okay, all right, the abattoir issue. Now, this is abattoir issue. They went on air to say that the old shit in the central abattoir, and this is good. And then see sanctions. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, I'm afraid we're short of time, so I think we'll talk to you on our news and we'll be able to take you up on our news bulletin.
No problem, no problem.
The mistakes have been made on both sides to not recognize that both sides were wrong is to be dishonest. Both sides were wrong, mistakes made on both sides, but I still believe that it's not a very bad situation as being painted. The station is on air. It's only the frontage that was pulled down. So, and they will be able to, nobody will lose his job at the end of the day.
We hope so. We hope so. I want to thank you, Mr. Tola Naibi, for coming on Journalist Hangout, making your debut today. Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Martins Oloja. Thank you. We have and Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you. And that's all on Journalist Hangout. Do join us tomorrow for another exciting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. Catch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzuba. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Barika Disala in advance.